Once again, I am late to the party. Somebody in my chat told me there was a Bloodborne movie, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about this, wanted to yap a little bit, so let's just jump into this. All right, so first things first, as a lot of us already know, Jacksepticeye has pretty much said that he's been working on this. He is a big fan of Bloodborne, big fan of FromSoft, and so he was really excited to get into this, and I just wanted to kind of go over two articles that I found. One that is heavily about the movie, and then another one that kind of just talks about Bloodborne in general. So let's go through this real quick. So first of all, Jack has said that it's his job to keep the game as close as we can. You know, he doesn't want it to be some weird, crazy thing that doesn't really tie into the games or anything, and just has the Bloodborne name on it. He wants it to keep it true to the games. So Jacksepticeye is understandably cautious about revealing details of the upcoming Bloodborne animated movie. He's producing. Keep that in mind. He's producing. So that means that he's helped kind of getting the layout, getting the ideas of the movie, getting things structured. You know, where does point A go to point B? Where does point B go to point C? What's the follow up and like things like that are being pushed for the movie instead of just, you know, being the director, the one that's telling X, Y, and Z. He's helping produce the movie. So that's how he's going to try to help keep the game as true, the movie as true to the game. So we did speak to Jacksepticeye on the red carpet of 2026 Gaming BAFTA Awards and pressed for as much info as we could. Earlier this month, Sony Pictures announced an R-rated animated featured film based on the FromSoftware masterpiece Bloodborne. While no plot details were revealed, it is expected that the movie will follow a hunter battling beasts in the city of Yharnam. It's produced by PlayStation Studios, Lyrical Animation, and Jacksepticeye. Lyrical Media is co-financing the Bloodborne movie with Sony Pictures. Jacksepticeye's role on the project came as a surprise to many. Rightfully so. He's a YouTuber. You know, I feel like a lot of people weren't really expecting a YouTuber to pop out like that. But he told IGN he's been a long fan of the animation, and of course he has a long history with Bloodborne itself. Grew up watching Dragon Ball. Chef's kiss. If you haven't watched my Dragon Ball video about the new patches for Sparking Zero and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, you might want to go check that out. That's hype. So maybe me and Jack are on the same wavelength, that kind of stuff. But anyway, Jacksepticeye told IGN when he asked about the animation that made him fall in love with the medium, "You're lucky if anything happens in an episode of that. It's all still frames half the time. I'd go all the way back to watching Spider-Man and Batman, the animated show when I was a kid, and just falling in love with those things. And then growing up and watching anime, that is the coolest place I've ever been." When asked what's on the mood board for the Bloodborne adaptation, he replied, "Anything that gets us close to the mood and feel of the game. I'm not under any illusions that we could change too many things or mess stuff up. It's my job to keep it as close to the game as we can and keep it in that tone and vibe and atmosphere." He added, "The atmosphere of those games is just second to none. Though many fans have been happy to hear any news of Bloodborne adaptation at all, not everyone has been so kind. I've seen all the memes and they're hilarious, where people are posting pictures of me like ruining the franchise and everything," Jacksepticeye said. "I think they're really funny, but it just shows how into Bloodborne they are, how passionate they are. I'm approaching it as a fan, not as like I want to make a thing to make money," he continued. "That's not my goal at the end." That's good to hear. And I know that fans out there are passionate about Bloodborne. It's one of those games that even if you're not if it's not your favorite game, if somebody else said it, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And then it looks like he has a video, so let's go ahead and check this out.
"I'm not under any illusions that we should change too many things or like mess stuff up. It's my job to like keep it in that tone and that vibe and atmosphere. Because I mean, that's what it's all about, is that the atmosphere of those games is just second to none. I'm approaching it as a fan of it, not as like I want to make a thing."
I think that something that's very, very important is like you can see the expression on his face. Like you can tell he's genuinely excited. You can tell that this, like he said, this isn't a money thing. If he's not giving that corporate shill talk, you can tell that he is a fan, and you can tell that he's excited and passionate about this.
To make money, kind of like that's not my MO at all. And I know the fans out there are very passionate about Bloodborne. I've seen all the memes and they're hilarious, where people are like posting pictures of me like ruining the franchise and everything. I think they're really funny, but it just shows how into Bloodborne they are and how passionate they are about it. Like, it's one of those games that even if it's not your favorite game, if somebody else said it, you're like, yeah, that makes sense, I get it. It's a huge hurdle to get over and it's a big pedestal to put it on, but I have faith we can pull it off.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. That was great. So that's honestly really good to hear. You know, just kind of doubling down on the fact that this is for the fans. I think it's also nice that he's acknowledging the people that are concerned, all the frustration that might be coming from the community, because at the end of the day, this is a very beloved IP, and a lot of people just don't want to see it tainted. So it's nice to know that he actually acknowledges that and is willing to still move forward, even though there is a lot of hate. Probably more love than hate, but still a pretty vocal minority. But let's get back into this. So Jacksepticeye recently appeared in Iron Lung from fellow user Markiplier, a film which defied the odds of its independent production budget and earning 21.5 million globally. We asked if Mark had been in touch to offer any advice on the project. No, Mark doesn't really reach out to people that often. He kind of stays in his own world. Jacksepticeye's ambitions extend to eventually even more game adaptations after Bloodborne. Huh. My friend Elena Pierce just announced Charred Pictures that she's doing a lot of adaptations with. I'm helping produce a movie that she co-wrote, which is not a video game adaptation, but that's our goal, as well as to do more stuff and pick our favorite games and see who wants to make that stuff. Our video game adaptation that got away from Jacksepticeye was Soma. No shot. Huh. That would have been sweet. I mean, I probably would have peed myself a little, but that would have been sweet. He's spoken about the Soma animated show falling through before, but told IGN now, I reached out to the Soma guys a while back and I wanted to do something with that, but timelines just didn't add up and they just announced their new game. It's one of these stories where I'm like, this is so perfect. Maybe it can only be in a game the way it is. I'm just like more people need to know what Soma is, the ethics and the moral quandaries. Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Jack and IGN. All right, and then this one, this one isn't as as rigorous. It's pretty much kind of just a couple things that I just wanted to touch on. Like we saw in the other one, it's gonna be an R-rated animated movie. With Jacksepticeye helping produce it, and one other thing that I wanted to note is that no plot points or director were announced for Bloodborne, though Sony said the project marked a continuation of its push to use game IP in the film space, following projects such as Twisted Metal, Uncharted, and The Last of Us. So they do want to continue to get more game IPs out because they know that they have a lot of really good franchises. And we know that there is like the God of War feature on the way, as well as I believe there is a Ghost of Tsushima one. And so like we're seeing a lot of Sony IP kind of getting pushed forward. Now I had heard that there was a Horizon one, but I couldn't find anything about that. So if you do know anything about that, leave that down in the comments because that's something I would actually really like to cover as well. But let's get back into this. One other point of this that I really wanted to make a note of was that Bloodborne has always been the most asked for thing, and people wonder why we haven't really done anything, and not even an update or a remake or a remaster, which should be easy. We were known for doing so many remasters, some people got frustrated. So this is coming from Miyazaki. This is coming from somebody that is speaking on Miyazaki. So I only have my personal theory for the situation. I left first party development, so I don't know what's going on. But my theory is because I remember Miyazaki really loved Bloodborne and what he created. I think he is interested in bringing back Bloodborne, but he is so successful and so busy, so he can't do it himself. But he doesn't want anyone else to touch it. That's my theory. And the PlayStation team respect his wish. That's my guess and my theory. I'm not revealing any secret information. So the Bloodborne IP is still in Miyazaki's head. It's one of his passion projects. He loves it. But like you said, he's so busy. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, working on updates for those and then possibly even working on a new IP. So the Bloodborne is probably just not in the cards for a long while, if ever. And I mean, that's why we got the Duskbloods, because, Miyazaki was working on that IP. I know I was a little late to the party. I just wanted to cover this because somebody like Chad had brought it up and I thought it was really interesting. Getting two FromSoft IPs, two of their biggest IPs at that with Bloodborne and Elden Ring. I think it's just really interesting, really exciting to see. So I'm really looking forward to this because I think this is going to be monumental. This is going to be insanely fun. And with Jacksepticeye at the helm, I really do think that he's going to try to hold the game true to its original narrative and its original feeling to the best of his abilities without letting them Hollywoodify it. Whatever. Turn it into a Hollywood crazy blockbuster that doesn't do well and makes everybody really upset. So hopefully this works out and hopefully we get something amazing because I'm already really excited with just the very little information we have. I'm really looking forward to this. That's about it. I just wanted to come in here and talk about this because I thought it was super interesting. And I'll see you guys next time, all right? Deuces.
Ooh, this a hot shit, babe. You said that I've been hanging on to you. I don't play games cause I'm scared to lose. Baby, I tried to with you. Now I feel like the smoke that you blew. Yeah, got my heart